Good morning, everyone, and hello, welcome. I am Laura Bishop, the Commissioner of the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and it's really my pleasure to be here with you today, as well as my honor to serve in this role as Commissioner. I'm joined by a number of people today, and they're mayors, the mayors of Moorhead and Fergus Falls. So thank you to Mayor Shelley Carlson and Mayor Ben Shire for joining us, as well as our area legislators and community and industry leaders. So specifically, Senator Kent Eakin, who's here with us today, as well as Representative Paul Marquardt. And then you'll also be hearing from Nick Slavacek, who is with the Laborers International Union of North America, and Mark Kulda, who is with the Insurance Federation of Minnesota. So it's really great to be here with all of you today, and certainly we share a common interest in and desire to see Minnesota's communities grow and thrive. Today, specifically, we're here to talk to you about our changing climate and increasing extreme weather in our state. It presents challenges for our cities, our towns, our counties, and the cost of inaction is simply too high for our communities to bear. Climate change is one of the greatest threats to our families and communities, and it's no longer a far off possibility. It's happening here right now, and with devastating effects that we've seen throughout our state. We're seeing major climate trends. Minnesota's becoming warmer, it's becoming wetter, and we're experiencing more frequent and intense extreme precipitation events or mega rains. In fact, the 2010s were Minnesota's wettest decade on record. And these mega rain events are now 4 times more likely than they were just a generation ago. In the last year, we've seen these mega rains in communities across the state, including Duluth, Brainerd, and Wilmer. It's only a matter of time before communities like Moorhead and Fergus Falls experience this as well. And Minnesota mayors and other elected officials are keenly aware of how these kind of events affect our hometowns. Extreme storms are a risk to public health and safety. They damage our public infrastructure and can destroy homes and businesses. Extreme weather is a disruption for all residents and can be devastating for our Minnesota farmers. It also takes an emotional and economic toll on a community, as cleanups can be expensive, difficult, and take considerable time and resources for our governments, businesses, and homeowners. Unfortunately, Minnesota communities are increasingly unprepared for these challenges. In particular, our water infrastructure, including our stormwater systems, sewers, and wastewater treatment plants, are aging and becoming obsolete. Some of Minnesota's oldest cities have systems that date all the way back to the 1880s. These systems are reaching the end of their useful life and becoming less effective at collecting and treating wastewater. And then you add in this wetter weather and more frequent extreme rainfalls, and you have an even bigger problem. Cracks and breaks in older sewer lines allow extra water and into our sewers and a system overload, ultimately resulting in overflows that impact our communities and lakes and rivers. In the last 2 years, Northwestern Minnesota specifically experienced 29 of these wastewater overflows because of extreme weather. In too many cases, our aging and inadequate water structure can't handle the more extreme weather we see today. It causes floods on our local streets, sewer systems back up into homes and businesses, and it inflicts millions of dollars in damages to public and private property. We can help Minnesota's communities adapt to our changing climate and more extreme weather. By supporting their efforts to plan and invest in crucial water infrastructure improvements. This can improve and protect our environment, our families, and provide greater certainty to local communities. Governor Walz is proposing a $2.9 million investment over the next 2 years to help more communities do this important work. Many cities, counties, and our tribal nations are already developing strategies to address future needs. But more resources are needed to make sure that every community can afford the necessary preparations. This new funding would enable MPCA to provide grants to governments and tribal nations across the state for climate resiliency planning. This would include this would include assessing local infrastructure, the risks and vulnerabilities, developing community plans to increase resiliency, planning and pre-design work needed for stormwater and wastewater infrastructure and project proposals, and arming communities with the necessary plans and engineering pre-work to secure future funding for projects. Currently, these kinds of activities are not eligible for existing funding, so there is a clear need to provide this financial and technical assistance to communities that need to replace or upgrade facilities and infrastructure that is inadequate to handle Minnesota's changing climate. Data from the Federal Emergency Management Association, FEMA, shows that for every dollar of investment in resilient infrastructure, $6 of benefit accrue to communities from avoided loss due to the extreme precipitation, flooding, and other disasters. So we can be confident in the return on investment for these types of projects. And we'll hear more about the jobs that they generate from Nick Slavacek from LIUNA, who is here with us today. This proposal addresses what communities have identified as a major barrier in their efforts to prepare and adapt for extreme weather and our changing climate. With this grant proposal and program, the MPCA could assist up to 15 communities each year, but we know the demand is much higher than that. So what this proposal really represents is a starting point and one component of a larger framework of the investments needed to help Minnesota jobs grow and help our communities adapt and prepare for extreme weather and build up that climate resiliency. Minnesota can't do this alone either. The MPCA is strategically working with other state, regional, and federal partners to find resources to accelerate both the planning and implementation of this critical work. Next week, Governor Walz is joining other Midwest governors in asking President Biden to make larger investments in our nation's water infrastructure. We are committed to continuing to working with partners at all levels to raise awareness and resources for this effort, because we know the cost of inaction is even greater. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our next speaker, Mark Kulda of the Insurance Federation of Minnesota. Mark?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. We do appreciate the opportunity to provide some very important information to folks who are on the line here today. And it's really to talk a little bit about how we are not experts in the why, but we are definitely numbers experts. We're not climate scientists, but we certainly have the numbers to back up what is happening. We can definitely define the what of what is happening. And what is happening is clearly a dramatic increase in the level of severe storm activity that is impacting Minnesota. And really, when you look back into history, we see that we had decades of relative stability from the mid-1900s to the late 1900s. It was very stable in terms of catastrophe losses in Minnesota. And then all of a sudden, and it is definitely a one-year event that happened that changed things. 1998 was the year. We had 3 severe storms that year, March 29th, May 15th, and May 30th. May 30th was part of the Southern Great Lakes derecho, where we had a storm that caused $950 million of insured losses, That was the most expensive storm in state history. And combined, those three storms had $1.5 billion in insured losses. That $1.5 billion in insured losses was more than the previous 40 years combined. So we had decades of stability, and all of a sudden in 1998, we had a large catastrophe loss, and it hasn't stopped. We average now about every other year of $1 billion losses. Back in 2010, Minnesota led the nation in tornado touchdowns. We had 144 tornado touchdowns in 2010, more than Texas. In 2011, July 1st of 2011, there was a storm that struck southwest Minnesota. It didn't hit any heavily populated areas. It didn't get a lot of attention. But at the Olivia Airport, there was 90-mile-an-hour winds for a sustained time, such that that was a Category 2 hurricane. That storm had intensity, but it didn't hit any populated areas. So just to repeat, back in 2011, we had the equivalent of a Category 2 hurricane hitting Minnesota, something we hadn't seen. 2012, Commissioner Bishop mentioned the flooding that happened in Duluth. That was $450 million in reconstruction losses there. And then we had a huge storm on June 11th, 2017. That was just a small storm, maybe 30 minutes or so. It was a hailstorm that hit the Northwest metro area, Brooklyn Park, Coon Rapids, mostly hail, but that caused $3.2 billion in insured losses. The most expensive storm in state history, but it was the 10th most expensive storm in the world that year. So we are seeing these losses add up. And really, our point is to bring home the fact that it is having an impact on the premiums that you pay. So if you dial back to 1998, the average homeowner's insurance premium in Minnesota was about $368. Today, it's almost $1,400. Back in 1998, we were the 36th most expensive state in the country to buy homeowners insurance, so we were in the bottom third. But now at $1,400, if we were just a few dollars more than that, we'd be a top 10 state. We went from the bottom third to almost a top 10 state in the last 20 years because we are seeing this dramatic increase in storm activity. And last month, there was a magazine that used some assessment tools from data they got from NOAA. And in putting together all of that data, they compared each state in terms of their extreme weather. And it's no surprise, but Minnesota has the second most extreme weather next to California. And that is increasing the premiums that we see. And it's something that we definitely need to take into account and do something about. So thank you, Commissioner, for the opportunity to at least set the table and show what the impact is. And we appreciate that. And I will certainly be available for any questions.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us today. And certainly, I'm sure there will be a lot of questions. We are seeing that extreme weather is costing us all a lot of money. And so to be ahead of this, I think is really important. Next up on our agenda, and Mary, I'm sorry, I don't have my run a show right in front of me right now. Can you tell us a little bit about who's up next?
Mayor Shelley Carlson from the city of Moorhead.
Great. Welcome, Mayor Carlson. Great to have you with us. We'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner Bishop, for the opportunity today to share the city of Moorhead's perspective on Governor Walz's proposal to increase our state's resiliency around stormwater and sewer infrastructure. So this issue really hits home to me, not only as a mayor of the city of Moorhead, but also as my role as chair of the Fargo-Moorhead Diversion Authority. Our community knows firsthand the devastation and destruction that excess water events from both storm runoffs and flooding can cause. We know it's not a matter of if we will experience these events, but when. Due to our extremely flat topography, the city of Moorhead is very concerned with historic and potential future increases in rainfall magnitude and intensity. These changes risk compromising the capacity of our storm sewer system and can result in damage to public infrastructure and private property. The grant program that's proposed by Governor Walz and the MPCA would provide the resources that are needed to do the work to better understand the threats posed by severe rainfall events. That knowledge would allow the city of Moorhead and others to develop a comprehensive storm sewer model that would help us plan infrastructure improvements to increase storm sewer capacity, infrastructure improvements to protect the sanitary sewer system from rainwater and flooded streets, enhance development and building standards to reduce runoff and better protect private property, and public awareness campaigns. Moorhead residents are in tune to the challenges faced by the increased mega rain events that you referenced. Our residents have dealt with these issues numerous times in the past, and our city recognizes the challenges that increased frequency of these events could cause. We are very supportive of Governor Walz's proposed grant program, and dollars spent in this program could go a long way in helping to ensure the safety and prosperity of communities, not just in the city of Moorhead, but across the state of Minnesota. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present here today.
Great. Thank you so much, Mayor. And it's great that you can be with us today. We also have Mayor Ben Shire from Fergus Falls with us. Welcome, Mayor Shire.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. I think we all know that extreme weather is a growing problem in our communities, and it can have a devastating impact in our cities in many ways. So I just want to say thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Governor Walz, for recognizing the role that local city engineers, county engineers, stormwater managers, and also local elected officials have in facing these challenges. So thank you for the opportunity this morning. In many of our cities, including Fergus Falls, the infrastructure, as has been mentioned, it's aging, it's old, and Fergus Falls is over 100 years old in many instances. So, and we've seen some vulnerabilities, and we've experienced significant damage to not only to the stormwater systems, but also to our city streets and private property, as has been mentioned as well. In Fergus Falls, our stormwater runs directly into the Otter Tail River, and we don't have adequate ways of cleaning that before it goes into there. The Otter Tail River is obviously not only an important source of recreation, but it's also the source of our drinking water. So, we see it locally. And these high intensity rainfalls are especially damaging because of the erosion and the erosion that goes directly into the Otter Tail River. So extreme weather is not going away. This problem is not going away. And right now our cities, including Fergus Falls, in a lot of ways are not prepared to deal with these changes in extreme weather. So again, we need help with this. I applaud the Commissioner and the Governor for this program. And I think these resiliency grants, they're an important first step in helping our cities prepare for the future and to assess their vulnerabilities. So again, thanks for the opportunity to be with you this morning, Commissioner. Thanks for your work, and thanks for putting this proposal forward.
Of course, thanks so much. I think Room Raider is going to give you a big thumbs up for your background there too, your office. That's great. Thank you. I'd like to turn it over to Nick Slavacek from LIUNA as well. And
yes,
Nick,
hi.
Thanks.
Yes. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here on behalf of LIUNA and the Labor's Local 563. My name is Nick Slavacek. I'm a representative for Local 563.
Nick, your camera doesn't seem to be on. Are you able to turn it on?
How's that?
I don't know. It's still not on. We can hear you, though, completely. Okay. So why don't you just go ahead? Yeah.
Okay. It shows on. Apologize.
No, okay.
But I'm a representative for Labor's Local 563 out of Minnesota. I represent over 8,000 skilled construction workers, many of whom they maintain our state's critical stormwater and wastewater infrastructure. This funding is going to be crucial. To get our community's wastewater and stormwater systems up to par. For major weather events that are going to take place more frequently, and the studies show. Along with that, the funding, will not only better our community's infrastructure, but it's also going to serve as a huge job creator, given opportunities to create good union jobs that offer living wages, family supporting benefits that so many Minnesotans need. And this is the middle class we're talking about that need that hand right now. We spent the last year struggling to get by. And here's an opportunity to create jobs, and I think we need to go for it. And then, with the uncertain weather patterns, we know it's only a matter of time when our sanitary and storm water systems are going to fail. Let's just act now, to get offer the much needed funding to be better prepared to protect our community's infrastructures in the future. This is why the laborers union, we spend thousands of hours training to be able to get members of the community out there to work to help take care of these infrastructure systems. So thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you so much. Darren, I'll turn it back to you.
Great. And I know that Senator Eakin and Representative Marquardt are on, if they wanted to provide any opportunity to say anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Senator?
Sure. Well, yes. Well, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to both you and the governor and to all those who are involved in the promotion of the resiliency grants here. I think they're critically important. Mayor Carlson and others up in the Red River Valley know all too well the devastating effects of extreme rain events and flooding. And as has already been said, Commissioner, you mentioned the significant payback that up to for every $1 invested, we actually save $6 in damage and cleanup and repairs that would be required if we didn't make these investments, if we don't make these investments. And I think that's critically important. I think what's happened in Texas really helps to highlight the importance of getting out in front of these extreme weather events and what we've seen there because of the freezing weather. We're starting to understand more and more the importance of making these investments. And I guess an ounce of prevention is worth a cost of cure, as they say, and that's certainly true here. I don't think there's any better place where we can be investing our money when we look just at the payback. And that's just counting dollars. That's not talking about the peace of mind that it brings to people. And that's important too. And there's for economic development and for people feeling comfortable living in an area and locating businesses there. This is also important. So this is a much, much larger issue than just dollars and cents. It's quality of life. And I want to thank you for the work you're doing on this, and we'll do all we can to try to help get these resiliency grants through and do more. We've done a lot already in the Red River Valley because we have been experiencing more issues with these extreme weather events than most other areas have. And the Red River Watershed Management Board has been very proactive in getting things done on flood damage reduction in order to avoid the enormous costs that are associated with these events. So again, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Senator, and thank you for recognizing the issue and being so supportive. Representative Marquardt, did you want to add anything?
You bet. So thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner, and want to thank Governor Walz for this initiative. We know the damage that spring flood events occur, but probably the big damage also comes from the summer rain time events, which as I was a mayor in Dilworth, one of the biggest damage events we ever had was a 6-inch rain in July of 1993. And so these cities really need to get this planning done because so many times it's the sanitary and stormwater sewer systems that are undersized and in poor condition that leads to a lot of this extra damage, the basement backups and so forth that cause so much damage. So this is an excellent effort, not only would save homeowners and businesses money, but also, as Senator Eakin mentioned, peace of mind also. And we know this is a huge, huge issue. A recent survey said that we have about $5 billion of needs out in Minnesota, in our cities, for fixing aging infrastructure over the next 20 years. So this is a great way to help provide some resources for our cities to start planning for these events and improve quality of life around this area. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Representative. So Darren, I'll turn it back to you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. For members of the media, if you have a question for the Commissioner or any one of our presenters today, if you want to raise your hand and we'll call on you. Any questions? Well, Commissioner, I am not seeing any questions from our media folks today.
Okay.
So thank you again, everyone, for participating in today's event. If you have any additional questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to myself or Mary Robinson, who you've been in contact with. And again, this event was live streamed on the agency's YouTube channel. So if you need to go back and look for content or any quotes, you can go back to the YouTube channel and pull any of that. So, but again, thank you everyone for your participation today.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and thank you to all the media that joined as well. So appreciate all of your interest and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. And Nick, we can see your face now too. It was
I don't
on
know
the.
why it didn't come through before. I never touched
It was.
Nick.
I think
Okay.
it was fine on the YouTube.